Okay, I'll start. Is this a fairly new piece for this semester? Okay. Your memorization in terms of the text was all absolutely correct. But the melody lines, often you're making up almost like what would probably work as a perfect duetting line. You do a third or a harmonizing interval down, and then you come up onto the pitch again. So I think as the semester goes on, we're still early in the semester, as you get to know this better, there are melodic errors, quite a few that you got fixed in that. Are you aware of that or not?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I did not practice enough
Okay.
with our accompanist here.
Okay.
And that is on me. I do that, I've been doing better at it on my own for some reason, so then when having that with the piano, it really.
Yeah, and we have this kind of ongoing fun thing that we have with quilter accompaniments, right? Because quilter's accompaniments are always so interesting and often doing interesting things against what you're doing. And you just got to get used to that more for sure. So let's put the fact aside that you're gonna get to know it better and you're gonna fix those melodic errors. Again, as I said, your text was all absolutely right all the way through. But let's talk about the vocal technique, because that's kind of at the stage of getting your technique down. It's you progress to find a little more of that upper forehead bite by the time you got to the end. Your last two phrases, I'd like to point a bit. Prior to that, it was a little breathy and pushing air. And so the sound's coming up, it's getting into the mouth, and then it's coming out this way. And it needs to get about 2-3 inches higher before it enters the room so that we get mask resonance. So my biggest just single overall concept, let the sound become taller, let it travel higher to pick up mask and head resonance. Because right now it's only getting enough energy to come up below the top T, and then I'm getting this kind of breathiness pushed out. Do a hum side for just a minute. Just go, Now in your best suave kind of James Bond voice, would you say, now sleeps the crimson petal.
Now sleeps the crimson petal.
You see where you are there? That's where you want to be when you sing.
Yeah, I feel difficulty getting there and keeping it piano.
You know what? Don't worry about the dynamics. Let the voice sing comfortably. Your teacher always has a saying that he says several times every year. Soft singing is always depending on what room you're in. It's kind of, in a sense, I don't want to say inconsequential, but to be up on the stage, a piano is probably what Messa Forte is here. So,
it's an environment.
Yeah.
Emotion, not a.
Yeah. So let the voice just be Mezza Forte, whatever it wants to do to sing correct. And as you get more secure, in your James Bond swag, then you can bring it down softer. But for now, just let the voice fully vibrate, let the voice fully resonate, and don't worry about that.
Thank you for presenting this to us today. I really don't have much to add. It just felt like you were not as confident with this piece, and it showed in a little bit of your technique, and there were times I was straining to your words. So I just will add, consonants are always forte, right? No matter what. I mean, you don't want to beat up like crazy, but consonants in your line are always going to be forte, right? They explode, they help place, they're really important for your articulation and just getting sound out. And for us right now with masks, anything we can do to make that happen is going to help. I thought your affect was lovely. I thought, your presence on stage was calm, despite maybe some of the lack of confidence you were feeling. And I enjoyed your extremes, like when you really hit a low note, but when you were upper in the line, I could hear and decipher more of that. But I was reading a little bit just to kind of hear the contours of the line. But generally speaking, a lot of what Scott said, I don't need to reiterate, but just a little more time. It'd be fun to hear this again sometime, after you really kind of mastered the duet and the melody line a little bit more. Bring it back. Yeah.
Yeah, and those are all issues and problems come from virtual lessons and not being able to play along with you and those kinds of things where you need that support. However, it's a melody memory, a pitch core center memory, mostly it was you sang the right intervals, but in relationship to the wrong starting pitch.
It would have been a cool duet. Let's do it again. I'll sing the tune, you sing your part. I think it will work.
In brass,
So
you
you knew the intervals and where they're going, you just didn't know the interval from the last note to the next note. And that's what threw you out. And the great thing about Quilter is that maybe your note's not in there, but it couldn't have been any other note against the accompaniment than what it was. You know, the writing is so, I know where that, so being more intention on studying the accompaniment, I think would help you a lot. And anytime for you can live in your brain, you choose that. And we're talking about, living in your heart. That's where those melodies lie, and where the melody of the piece, getting it in your ear, means emotionally connecting to it. Okay. So, I think we can learn from that. And I think that, don't let the events of the week, get in the way and affect you, okay? From, doing the work of, can I hear this tune? If somebody played it, would I recognize what it was, even if the words weren't there? That kind of thing.
Speech that a little bit. You get songs stuck in your head, Brandon. Yeah. Duh. Try to get your repertoire stuck in your head. That's one of my favorite ways to memorize something, is just to be away from it and to be walking down the street or driving down, the road or whatever, and think, let me just kind of hum it. See how well I can just kind of get it stuck in my head. And unconsciously, a lot of times it'll just start sticking. So if you can sort of on purpose get your repertoire stuck in your head, it's kind of magical. So try that sometime.
I've had that experience. I've learned a lot of music on long commutes, where it's just, I'm driving safely, of course, but it's like playing. I would love to make a comment to everybody. I told Brandon I was going to use him as a guinea pig, because he said he in a typical semester would be rehearsing all the time, but with everything going on, there's a little bit of a feeling of I shouldn't come in and rehearse in person. And he's not the only student who has expressed that to me. So you are allowed to come to campus and encouraged to come to campus and rehearse, obviously with the singer's mask and with the 15-minute intervals that are set up on my schedule, where we're ventilating the space and doing all of those things. But it's also, I see the students who are having the most success, at least in terms of their comfort level, will schedule a rehearsal with me like the week before they perform. You are totally allowed to do that. You don't have to wait until the week that you're performing, so that when you get together with the piano, it's always going to feel different than when you're by yourself. So the sooner you can have that sensation, the more efficient your practicing is going to be from there on out. Another thing that I learned this week from working with students is that a lot of you are using YouTube accompaniments, which is fine, and it's great that that resource is there. But I am here to record accompaniments specifically for you also. And you don't need to feel bad or feel bashful about that. A lot of the students are kind of hesitant to ask for what they need from me. So I'm here, and that's one thing. If you really don't want to come to campus or want to rehearse in person, even making those recordings and sending them to you without contact can really help. So do that. That's my spiel. Thanks for.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening.
Caleb's in the line?
He's online.
Yes, I know, but if you wait here.
Wait a second. We're not sure if he's gonna come on or not.
Do you want me to comment? It's
Yeah, he's.
okay. It's good. It is good for me to have.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Look for them in writing.
He's saying something.
Can you hear me now?
No, he was saying.
No.
What's up, Jay?
Whoa, that's weird. I could just put my comments in the form to everyone, and I'll put a few things in the chat.
Hi there, my name is Haley Jordan, and I will be singing Poisoning Pigeons in the Park by Tom Lehrer. Spring is here, spring is here, life is skittles and life is beer. I think the loveliest time of the year is the spring. I do, don't you? 'Cause you do. But there's one thing that makes spring complete for me. It makes every Sunday a treat for me. Oh, the world seems into not a spring afternoon, but we're boys and pigeons in the park. Every Sunday you'll see my sweetheart and me as we boys and pigeons in the park. When they see us coming, the birdies all try and hide, but they still go for peanuts when coated in cyanide. The sun shining bright, everything seems alright as we boys and pigeons in the park. We gain notoriety and cause much anxiety in the Audubon Society with our games. They call it impiety and lack of propriety and fight over writing of unpleasant names. But it's not against any religion to want to dispose of a pigeon. So if someday you're free, how about you come join me as we boys and pigeons in the park? And maybe we'll do a squirrel or two as we boys and pigeons in the park. We'll murder them all amid laughter and merriment, except for the few we take home to experiment. My pulse will be quickened with each drop of strychnine we feed to a pigeon. It only takes a smidgen to poison a pigeon in the park. Take a breath. You said you wanted more action.
The birds that so valiantly gave their lives for this performance.
Yes, no birds were harmed in the making of this performance class. They're okay.
Then you want to start? You want me to? What do we do?
I can go through.
Okay.
I love the stagecraft and the presentation. It's so fun, and you know, even with a mask, and even with you fighting with the mask, and all of that, it worked wonderfully. And my comments, I'm going to ask you a question first.
Yeah.
In your singing and in your study of voice, what is your biggest difficulty?
Yeah, that middle part, this whole song we were working on the middle part because I can sing super high and super low, but it's that middle part.
And what is the term we usually use for that middle part?
The mids?
The mixed voice. Yes, the passaggio, right? Okay, and it's specifically for you coming down from head voice through is the hard thing. And my guess is that when you were not in your head voice and the rest of the stuff, is that your normal voice or were you characterizing your voice?
When I'm lower,
Yes.
I'm normal.
You had a bit of character.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so I would suggest to you that you try not to, I mean, you know, if you're using this to audition for a part for civic theater or whatever, you're going to have to show that characterization in the voice and that kind of thing. But right now, I think it's in the way because it's so high larynx that when you have to then go across the passaggio, which needs a very low larynx, you're stuck and you get the break and the crack. Okay, and so I would try to take this piece, sing it as a classical piece, take the phrases apart and do them really slow and you know, overdo, you know, an operatic type of voice, just so that you can get used to going across the passaggio, okay? Because right now it needs more mix of the head voice in the lower voice, and the gap is too far. Okay. The other thing is that anytime the voice cracks, it's usually because the breath is not there going across. Yeah, you know, it's hard with the mask, but you can still support because you can still breathe just as deeply. Okay. But anytime that it cracks through the passaggio means that the air has stopped and you've tried to jump over this little part in your voice, and then you're going to try to come back into it because the head voice really needs a lot of expression of air. Okay, so I like to say sing on the crack. Okay, and that way it has both the lower and the head voice in there. So if you get the sensation of, I can make a crack and then try to sing right in that crack, it's just another visualization. You know, there's not a technical term for it, but it's allowing you to maintain that breath support through that area, and so that the voice can feel like I can get across that gap that's there, which really isn't there, but it's because things are so tight in the lower part. And yeah, there's you know, it's not an uncommon problem, you know, but it's something that I think as you want to progress and be able to progress, you need to really attack right now and go for it. Okay, and listen to everything that your teacher says and makes you do, and all the weird stuff, bending over, upside down, singing, all those kinds of things are all there to help you do what you want to do. We're not trying to turn you into an opera singer, but we're trying to make your voice do what you want it to do.
Yeah, so we decided on the character voice because I just have more confidence and then I'll start coming out if we didn't do the character voice.
But then it also affects then, you know, the other ones, you know.
Yeah.
So when you get a really good solid technique going, you can do any style when you get that solid technique, because it translates through anything. Then you'll be able to characterize even way more in ways you never thought you could. Okay? Sorry to go on and on and on.
Yeah, exact same thing, slightly from a different way. What do you sing when you're in choir? What part do you sing?
Also too.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, there was a speech I wanted to give. Because I'm hearing you singing this as a soprano, and so everything is a little bit this way. I'm a soprano, so it's all kind of shoulders up. And I made the transition in my study a couple times. I've never really known where my voice is supposed to sit. But when I got with my last main teacher and we moved from baritone to tenor, and she said, no, I really think you're a tenor. I started kind of lifting up and trying to sing more like a tenor, kind of like a baritone on helium is what I was doing. And it just didn't work. And she said, you know, you have to sing like a baritone and talk like a tenor. And then your body will integrate. So I was going to say to you, you need to sing this piece like you're a mezzo soprano. You know, sing this more like an alto mezzo soprano. And then talk like a soprano. And try to integrate more the whole body, round, richer, warmer sound with that kind of heavy kind of speech up there to kind of combine the two. Because I wanted more warmth in the sound. At first I started writing that that maybe you're breathing high. I couldn't notice that you were breathing up or breathing high. But it seems like you're only using the upper part of your body. And I want the whole body in the sound. So maybe slowly go through this. Take it, slow everything down like it's in slow motion, like you're sleepy. And sing it as rich and as round and as warm as you can. And get that into your body physicality. Then go back and sing it like you like to perform it, but keeping some of that feeling of yawn in your sound. And I got the whole thing that just came out. I loved everything else that you did. It was just a delight to watch.
You know how I feel about all this. We talk about this ad nauseum, right? So it's just finding that top, not pushing so hard in the middle so that you can kind of just, we do this stuff all the time. So we could talk about more in your lesson, but I loved your acting today. You really brought it. I know how annoying it is when you have something physical that's just eating you away, but you didn't break character. You were in the whole time. And I'm sure there were moments where you're listening to yourself and you're like, I've done this way better.
Yeah.
I know that. I know that about you. You live here, right? This is where you live. But you didn't let on about that at all. You still just were like, I'm crazy. And it was such a treat. It really was such a treat. You should see all the comments that are coming up from the students today about how much they enjoyed watching and listening to you, okay? But what they're saying about the passaggio and stuff, and we'll break it down again, more in your lessons. And this has been a big area for you.
You know, there's one singer that you should listen to with repertoire like this, kind of what you want to do. Her name is Sarah Walker. Sarah Walker. And she's kind of like a Janet Baker, but she loves to do this kind of music. So she'll do William Bolcom's Lime Jello Marshmallow Cottage Cheese Surprise and all of that kind of wonderful, wonderful fun stuff. But it's a totally integrated sound. So if you get a chance, go on YouTube, type in soprano, mezzo soprano, whatever she is, Sarah Walker, and do a little listening and see what you think about that approach.
Emily, did you have anything? Yeah.
Okay. Hello, my name is Anastasia Fiorenzo, and I will be singing Lascia Io Pianga by Handel. So
Anastasia, I love the warmth in your sound today. I think you're keeping your larynx a little lower, and we're getting a little more sense that you're getting this warmth into the head sound as well. It's integrated.
Thank you.
Does it feel like you're singing with a little more noble richness in what you're doing?
I've been trying.
Well, good, it's paying off. The one thing I'm also hearing, which I'd like you to think about a little bit, do you find every once in a while the voice just feels like it's catching just a little bit and pulsating and feel like you want it to be?
Yeah, I'm like extra nervous today too.
All right, well, don't be, it's lovely. No, what I think is causing a little bit of that, there's just a little tendency to hold your breath. If I sing a phrase and I slightly hold my breath to make sure I have enough to get to the end, it wants to release, it wants to move, and you're stopping it from doing that. If you take that breath, just release and let it go. Get the breath in motion, get the exhale releasing, and then just simply talk on the release of the breath. Rather than starting the breath, and I'm going to control it through the 4-bar phrase to get to the end of this one, and then I got to control it through the next 4-bar phrase. If you need to take extra breaths, do, but release the breath. Don't worry about running out. We find that when we talk, we never run out of breath, right? You're going to find too, if you just don't think about it and just get to the end of this phrase that you want to say, the breath will be there. But release it. Do you hear the difference between controlling the breath and then simply releasing it, letting it go, letting it move? The voice is so beautiful. The voice is so warm. Let it move. Just let it release. Don't try to steer it. Okay, good.
I love this piece. I just love this piece, and I can tell you love it too. It's so emotional, a very nice emotional performance of it. I have a quick question. It has nothing to do about it, but does your copy of this have that rest in Kuru da Sorte?
No,
No?
between the crew and the dog,
Uh-huh.
no.
Because most of them do.
Don't know.
Yeah, and it's always been a question of mine as to, really, was it that way? And I've seen both versions of it, and I've heard both versions of it. In fact, Joyce DiDonato on that wacko video that she did of it, puts it in there, and she uses that rest as an emotional thing. But I want to pick up on what Scott Bosher was saying. The sense that I've got is that we have 2 or 3 different voices all competing against each other right now with you. And it's finding the one that is the most efficient and the one that keeps everything spinning that we got to work at. And it's usually coming in as you're going to the top note. Okay, it's like, okay, I got to the top note, and then crash, okay? And it's that scary, when I was talking with Haley, it's about singing on the crack. And you definitely have to be singing right at that crack point. The most unstable part of your voice is where you have to live, okay? So that you can't control the airstream and that type of thing. When I was a kid, there was a store called Montgomery Ward's. Everybody called it Monkey Ward's. And they sold appliances and all that kind of stuff. And there was a vacuum cleaner display on there where they had a vacuum cleaner running, and there was a ping pong ball that balanced on the exhaust of the vacuum cleaner. Okay? And it was a constant stream, and that ball stayed there. And if you put your hand, through the airstream, it would drop. And that kind of thing. That's a little bit of what's happening with you. You get to the top note, that ping pong ball's there, and you turn the power off. Okay, so coming down from that, you have to support as if you're still going up. Okay, and when you get that nice, you have a very fast vibrato that I think you're scared of a little bit. And if you could own up to it a little bit, there are lots of ways that we can make it less scary and all of that. But that's really where you got to sing. That's the ping pong ball up there. And trying to stay within that, because you get a sense of holding, releasing, and then there's nothing left. For singing, the singer's dilemma is you can't have good breath support without good placement, and you can't have good placement without good breath support. Those two have to work together, okay? And they're not with you right now. So thinking placement, putting it in the right place, then the breath can follow and support that. Anytime it moves and drops back, that ping pong ball falls. So go play a bunch of ping pong.
I thought your tuning and your intonation was really nice. Nice. Yes, and getting through your phrases with the mask on. Nice. We'll talk more about what these guys said, because I hear some of that, but I think you very professionally prepared this piece. You and Ms. Grabinski obviously spent a lot of time together on it. Your emotion and your interpretation was lovely. Your focus points were there. It was very just professionally done. And I do know what they're kind of saying. Just, you know, we always talk about letting it bloom and blossom and not being afraid of it when we do get that sound, to stay there and kind of see what it takes to move through the big girl sound, you know? So we'll do some more experimenting with that in your lessons, some blooming arpeggios and such. But I think it will help you just kind of ride the wave of the work that you're doing. Because I feel like what they're saying is you're working really hard, where once you get it set, you can ride the wave, baby. Ride the wave of your air, which is becoming more habitual for you. Now it's just letting yourself not work so hard.
It takes courage. I mean, you actually gain more control of your singing when you stop trying to control it, which seems like it's.
We've never talked about that. Well, it's like the soap. It's like holding a bar of soap, right? When you hold it too tight, it slips away.
That's a great analogy.
Thank you. Yeah. It's like, it's the same thing with air. And I find myself doing that sometimes. I'm like, I've got a long phrase. And if I try and hold it in, it won't last as long. It's just like holding the bar of soap, squeezing it. So.
Problem is we call it support, and it's wrong.
Right, we can't say support. Support sounds stagnant to me. If someone says breath support, I'm like, and like, we do want to tank up for sure. We want to feel strong and grounded, but we also want to feel the Patronus moving around.
I like the word feed, feeding the breath.
Feeding the breath, or let it, I don't know, grow, flow, bloom, you know. Great job.
I think that sense of that expansion, that when you take the right diaphragmatic breath, that sense of expansion, you can try to keep expanding while you're singing. That takes all the muscles that you can feel out of play, and then allows the diaphragm, which is the muscle you can't really feel and control, and let that do the work. So that expansion kind of gives you that lift, and then you have a steady supply to all little tricks.
Thank you. Thank you. Parting words.
I'm afraid of what will happen if I unmute, but at least the people in Zoom can hear me. Uh-oh. Okay, cool. I heard the little zoomy echo thing. That was a fun class, everyone. Yeah, okay, now it's in the chat. That's gonna be like a thing. Don't make a t-shirt or a coffee cup. Use the time to practice instead. Make sure you get your concert reviews to me. Oh, no. Get your concert reviews to me. Sign up for Time to Practice with Professor Grabinski. That's one of the reasons I moved that to be with assignments, and that was not staged, that she also brought that up today. It's something for your benefit. And don't ever be afraid to reach out to her for some practice resources. It's literally her job. And she's good at it, and is like also enjoys helping you have the resources to be better musicians. And I cannot tell you how great a gift that is to have as a music student. A faculty member who is devoted to creating resources to helping you be better musicians. I mean, that's what we all do, but she does this in a very particular way as an accompanist. And that is a tremendous resource that you have. That did not exist to be like when I was an undergraduate at my college, and does not exist in all music departments. So you have that resource here. Take full advantage of it. It will benefit you very well. I think that's all I have for you. Always be in touch with questions and go practice.